Yeah, that's the idea that if a belief is useful, that it's okay to hold. And it's not that I don't understand what it is they're arguing, but literally what it boils down to is they're saying I don't care whether what I believe is true or not. And I don't and what gets me when it comes to a proselytizing religion is you're basically saying, and I don't care if I'm lying to other people and trying to convince them to believe lies. That's where I would kind of draw a line. It's like on the one hand, if you personally want to believe lies and you say, hey, it's best for me to believe my husband's not cheating because if I divorce him, I'm going to lose a lot of money. You know, it's like it's one thing if it works for you to believe a lie. But when you start going around trying to, when you say, I don't know if it's true or not, I don't care if it's true or not, but then you're out preaching it, that to me is kind of where I draw a moralistic line where I'm saying, okay, well, now you're out propagating lies. And if you're out propagating lies and recruiting people into, you know, a lie, and you know it's a lie, and you're not presenting it as a lie, you're presenting it as true, and not just, you're saying it's not just useful, but true when you preach it. So you need to not be promoting those lies to other people, or else, you know, I'm going to step in and say something. I'm going to say, I think you're promoting a lie.
Right. They say it's useful, but that doesn't really work. It doesn't add to the truth value of the claim whatsoever.
They say what?
It doesn't add to the truth value of the claim, no matter how something is useful or how something works.
Oh yeah.
And I would argue that
it's just a placebo effect or something at that point.
I would argue that anything that allows you to believe things that are clearly not supported by reason and evidence is not useful. I mean, it allows you to avoid some reality that you find uncomfortable or whatever, but I think that it's more useful to confront that.
I question, too, whether or not you can even call that belief. I mean, for example, the woman who says, you know, I'm just going to act like my husband's faithful because I don't want to call him on it because he's wealthy and I don't want to lose all that income. I'm not sure I can win the divorce battle in court. You know, does she really believe he's faithful, or is she just saying it's working for me to play along? You know what I mean? If a person can say to me that that's true, if you're saying you believe it, to me the definition of belief is that you've accepted it as true. So if somebody says to me, I believe it, and I don't care if it's true or not, it's like, well, what do you mean you don't care? You just said it was true. The moment you said you believed it, you said it was true, that you accept it as true. So you need to defend it as true. If you're just claiming it's useful, don't go around saying you believe it. Say, I use it.
Yeah.
I use it. I use this teaching, but, you know, yeah, I know I don't think it's true, but I use it. That's not belief.
They will never do that. They won't do that.
Well, you said somebody did.
Well, the thing is, they do. I mean, if you've got, when it comes to science, a lot of them do. They will go to a university, they will pass biology by pretending that they agree with evolution, and then they get off somewhere to Discovery Institute, and suddenly, you know, they're creationists with their PhD or whatever, and now they're touting that as credentials. You know, so, I mean, they can believe, or they can use something, you know.
Right, but I wouldn't call it a belief. Yeah, I mean, it's like
even if they don't believe it.
It's a model that you're using. Anyway.
Okay.
That's enough of that. So, okay, Justin, do you have anything else?
All right, I would just like to bump my blog, if that's okay.
Oh, go for it.
All right, it's greenatheist.blogspot.com, and my Facebook badge is also on there for whoever wants to add me as a friend or continue conversation. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
All right, good enough.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Justin.
Okay, have a good one.
Okay, and then we have Bill from Howell, New Jersey. Hi, Bill. How are you doing today?
Hey, Tracy. Hey, Jen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have two questions for you, and if I could, I'd like to give you just a short 30-second history of my awakening, as I like to call it. I was raised
starting now.
I was raised Roman Catholic, which there was a lot of dogma, a lot of not so many fantastic claims, and there was a lot of Catholics in my town, so it was just a completely normal way to grow up. And when I got married, I married a born-again Christian. Attended church, kind of bounced from church to church, and never really wanted to put my kids in the kids' church. I always felt kind of uneasy when they asked to, hey,
good for you, Bill.
Yeah.
Let's take your kids this way. I never wanted to do that. We went to one church, and they had crutches on the wall. And when I looked at the crutches on the wall, I said, you know, what are they there for? She said, well, those are the people that the pastor healed. You know, and right then and there, I started thinking, you know, this is crazy. What am I getting myself into? And you know, I had a good friend who was a paraplegic who went to a faith healer and was told that his faith wasn't strong enough. So,
oh, that's great. So blame the person who's paraplegic. Great.
Yeah. So you know, I started reading the Bible, and I said, let me just read it for myself. You know, I've never read it, and when I read it, I really started having doubts. You know, Genesis was really, you know, just a bunch of bull crap to me. and researched evolution, read a lot of Ken Miller, the Kitzmiller Dover trial, found your show on YouTube, and became an instant fan. And really, I liken myself to like a Jehovah's Witness who's gotten the word, and they're all excited about it. I'm excited about, you know, how much bullcrap this is, and I can't believe that people believe this. You know, what else did I want to tell you? I wanted to say that, you know, I'm 39 years old, and I probably didn't have this awakening until I was 37. And it's like embarrassing, you know, that you can be fooled for so long.
Oh, I'm right there with you, though, Bill. Don't be embarrassed.
How old were you?
Well, by the time I deconverted, I was probably around your age.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But the problem that I run into now is I've already, you know, been married, and I've already raised my kids are 8 and 5 years old. And
Oh, yeah, they're out of the house.
Taught them, you know, I've already taught them that, you know, religion is the right way to go, and Jesus and the Bible is the truth. Now that I know that it's not,
Oh, yeah.
I'm afraid to tell them. I'm actually afraid.
Well, yeah, you've got
I
some...
don't want them to go to school and say that they don't believe in God, because I know, I mean, even here in New Jersey, we're not nowhere near the Bible Belt, but, you know, they're going to be discriminated against. They're going to get a lot of bad reaction from it. So I don't know when to tell them. I don't know what to tell them. You know, when they're 21 and 22, and they're strong enough to defend themselves, and they're secure in who they are, you know, I'll tell them how Daddy believes. But as of right now, I feel sad that I can't tell them how I believe. I can't tell them the truth. I have to perpetuate, you know, the lie that I don't want them to be 37 years old like I was and figure it all out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And if it helps, we get letters like yours. That's not an uncommon situation for somebody to say, I'm married, and I was a believer when I got married, and my spouse is a believer. And we've even had letters from people who said, I'm engaged. Yeah. And we were both, you know, zealous Baptists, and now I've deconverted, and I'm afraid to tell my fiancé because I think this is going to ruin it.
Well, I told my wife, and it caused some problems with my wife and I, but we're past it. You know, we love each other.
Well, but the thing is, you've got these 2 kids now, and you're saying you're having some kind of second thoughts about how the kids are being raised, what they're being taught, and what this is going to mean for them as they get older, and you have some questions about what it would mean if you were to actually tell them what you think. Yeah. And then my question would be, where is even though you and your wife have worked out whatever works between you, what is her, like, where is she at? Where's her head at on this?
She doesn't want me to tell them how I believe.
Okay.
I agree with her only for the fact that I don't want them to lose friends. I don't want, you know, I don't know. I feel embarrassed even saying this, but I know what's going to happen. You know, they could go to school and say, my daddy doesn't believe in God, and I don't believe in God. And, you know, their friends are going to look at them different. Their teachers are going to look at them different. I used to look at people different who were atheists. I mean, which brings me to my second question. I'll ask you when I'm done with this. But I used to think that atheists were lost people, and I know they're going to be viewed that way, and I don't want them to suffer that in school.
I understand. Yeah, I understand totally what you're saying. You don't want them to be treated with prejudice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have children?
I do.
Jen does.
My son is 4.5, and he does not have, he doesn't even know anything about religion or God or anything like that. We don't actually think that's a very appropriate topic to bring up to an impressionable child. Yeah. So we haven't told him anything about that.
That's kind of where I am. I can't see, even my 8-year-old though, he's starting to ask questions.
Well,
I don't want him to get to be like 15 and 16 and say, well, how come you were lying to me all this time? You didn't tell me how you really believe.
Yeah, and the thing is, that doesn't mean that we won't tell him anything about it. Because one of the things that I think it's important to do with young children is teach them to think for themselves and give them the tools so that when they're approached by their theist classmates, they're not vulnerable to that. And so essentially, when he's a little older, we'll start inoculating him against these beliefs so that when he gets to school, he might lose a few friends over this. But you know what? Those people probably... My impression of this is that if you lose a friend because you're an atheist, they probably really didn't like you very much anyway. and your atheism is the excuse they use to dump you?
Yeah, I think that's fine if you're an adult, but if you're a 10 or 12-year-old child.
Yeah, I understand you have the child's parents to deal with too.
Yeah, and I understand too, Bill. Believe me, my mother's family is from New Jersey, and it's all Italian Catholic.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about.